As a team, we've been investigating the theory, practice, implementation, and benefits of inquiry-based learning strategies. We began by conducting individual literature reviews using 4 subtopics. Next, we designed 4 data collection protocols to gain further insight into IBL strategies from teachers, students, and classroom practices. With our individual research completed, the team conducted a series of meetings to establish common themes, questions, and observations within our research. These discussions have led to an action research proposal, which will be outlined near the end of this presentation. In this presentation, we will outline the key findings and commonalities within our literature, the key findings and commonalities within our data, and explain how these findings have informed our action research proposal. Within our team's literature, there were consistent findings regarding the goals, benefits, and implementation of IBL strategies, and these findings carried across into our data collection protocols. The ability of inquiry-based strategies to increase or support student engagement is a common theme within our team's research. The Learning to Learn program highlights the possibilities of inquiry-based strategies to increase enthusiasm and conversations about learning amongst students. Similarly, the correlation between inquiry-based learning and self-regulation skills suggests that inquiry-based activities help students to strategize, set goals, find interests, and ultimately become motivated learners. Play, a specific component of inquiry-based learning, provides an example of this as an activity which helps students to form relatedness, find interests, and ask questions, and personally engage with the subject. In each case, student engagement is inherently tied to a student's ability to analyze, personalize, and converse about their own learning and thinking, their metacognitive abilities. Teaching students to be lifelong learners and thinkers is an inherent goal of inquiry-based activities and was a prominent topic within our team's literature. Zimmerman and Capelle suggest that inquiry-based activities help students to develop self-observation, evaluation, and adaptation skills, which can be used in a variety of learning contexts. As such, social capabilities are an essential component of IBL, for it aims to help students mobilize their thinking in a variety of social contexts. This has been evidenced by Winchell, who saw learning cultures and the increased conversation about learning develop as a result of inquiry-based projects. Therefore, although individual skills can be developed as a result of IBL, inquiry-based strategies work to develop thinking and learning as a functional, socially situated ability. Despite these benefits, there are significant barriers to the implementation of inquiry-based learning strategies in Australian schools. The specific components of IBL, such as questioning, observation, and play, require a discrete set of teaching skills that not all teachers are familiar with. As such, teacher training has been highlighted as a major concern for Capps and Crawford. Another key concern for the implementation of inquiry-based strategies is the specific contexts and cultures of schools. Elkine suggests that efforts to implement constructivist strategies, including IBL, are often blocked by teacher cultures that view teaching as a practice of transmitting objective parcels of knowledge. There is a major gap in the research of IBL which disregards the specific environments where IBL is being implemented, and the effect of teacher culture on the adoption of IBL strategies highlights the need for research in this area.
The objective of my research was to investigate the influence of teacher culture and prior knowledge on the implementation of IBL strategies. I conducted interviews with 3 different teachers who had a range of experience in schools. These interviews were recorded and then analysed using coding, categories, and themes.
Teacher training and teacher culture were 2 major concerns raised in my literature review. Therefore, I decided to use these concerns as a basis for my research. I gathered data by interviewing a collection of high school teachers who had experience implementing IBL strategies. I was interested in how prepared they had felt from their teacher training to implement these strategies, and how other more established teachers had reacted to these methods.
In my research, I wanted to identify the specific teaching practices of classroom teachers which could be best developed by IBL strategies. I undertook classroom observations where I observed 6 classes taught by 3 different teachers. My observations were conducted using a set template, which were then color-coded and categorized based on the types of teaching practices I observed. These practices were analyzed in accordance to the components of inquiry-based learning outlined in Katz's study.
My team members provided the data showing teachers' knowledge and experience played a significant role on their abilities to implement IBL strategies. Although my survey data mismatched the age range for high school students, it is still a valued resource used to gain insight into somewhat similar motives and culture which would be adopted by pre-service teachers.
After collecting our data, the team collaborated to discuss the consistencies, differences, and inferences between our various studies. From these discussions, the role of teachers' past experience and teachers' training appeared to be a significant theme that was evident within our data. Therefore, teacher training became a topic for further investigation in our action research proposal.
Both sets of interviews highlighted the effect of teacher training and teacher experience on the decision of interviewees to implement IBL strategies. Participants in Alex's study indicated that knowing about and understanding IBL strategies would help them to develop such teaching methods in their practices. Tim's study mirrored the importance of teacher knowledge, whose participants felt unprepared by their teacher training to implement constructivist teaching methods. In both cases, prior knowledge was seen as an essential support for teachers implementing IBL. Whilst teacher knowledge can be developed through the act of teaching, the difficulties experienced by teachers in making pedagogical decisions during inquiry-based activities, outlined in Tim's study, suggest that simply giving it a go would not be an effective approach for the teachers interviewed. This was somewhat concerning when considering the participants of Alex's study, who voiced a lack of knowledge of inquiry-based learning and a lack of experience using inquiry-based strategies.
The correlation between teachers' prior knowledge and experiences and the decisions of teachers to implement IBL strategies was evident in the classroom during Clive's study. Whilst chalk and talk strategies were most commonly used for explaining new knowledge to students, the strategies employed by teachers to support student learning and to maintain their own engagement consistently allows students to collaborate, test their knowledge, and ask their own questions. This had suggested that teachers had a practical understanding of IBL methods when it came to engaging students, and this was reinforced by the interviewees in Alex's study, who described increased engagement as a key benefit of IBL.
The survey on university students' self-regulation skills offered similar types of learning preferences that are adopted by pre-service teachers. These data indicated the importance of personal goals and interests in relation to their own learning in a social collaborative environment. This was evident in Alex's study, where the findings suggested potential benefits such as excitement and on-task. In addition, the ability for students to self-assess is a key factor in their inquiry learning, which may lead to extra efforts placed into their own learning. This belief is also evidenced in Clive's observations, who observed frequent opportunities for students to make their own learning decisions and assess their own progress in teachers' practices. This suggests that the ability to self-regulate was both acknowledged and valued by the teachers observed.
Therefore, teachers' prior beliefs, knowledge, and experiences, which were shaped by their own education, emerged as key influences on teachers' practices. Consequently, the team hypothesized that for teachers to effectively employ inquiry-based learning strategies, they must have practical experience of what inquiry-based learning looks and feels like, so as to align their own beliefs, perceptions, and experiences with the strategies they are employing. To gain further insight into the role of teachers' prior learning experiences and how this shapes their teaching practices, we have designed an action research proposal that will offer teachers and students hands-on experience of inquiry-based teaching and learning. Unlike top-down approaches to educational improvement, action research is a cyclical process which involves teachers as researchers and helps them to understand and improve their own practice. Therefore, action research is generally designed for a specific context and requires a narrow focus and clear timeline to make the research manageable. It is important that the methods of data collection explore the whats and whys of teaching and learning and can be integrated into the normal school routine. Whilst this type of research may not yield large amounts of generalizable knowledge, Nelson and Bishop suggest that even small changes to teachers' practices can bring large benefits to both teacher and student. Our objective has been to improve classroom practice through an investigation of IBL strategies, and this closely aligns with the imperatives of action research. In Phase 1 of the research, a group of pre-service and practicing teachers within the school will need to establish a school garden with a combined class of students. The groups of students and the group of teachers will need to research a fruit or vegetable which could be grown at the school. Whilst teachers will support students in this task, the group will also need to research their own vegetables or fruit. By grouping teachers together, this experience has the potential to establish a supportive culture for inquiry-based teaching and offers participants an opportunity to experience what inquiry-based learning looks and feels like. This phase is based on the findings of Alex's study, which highlight the impact of such factors on teachers' perceived ability to implement IBL. In Phase 2 of the research, the groups of students and the group of teachers will plant and nurture their chosen produce. Throughout this process, teachers and students are to reflect on their learning and the learning of others through scaffolded learning logs. By involving students as part of the research process, they are able to develop their own knowledge of good teaching and learning, whilst providing valuable insight into their own learning processes. Vincent's study investigated the perceived importance of self-regulation skills by tertiary students, and this data will offer valuable insight into the ability of IBL to support the development of self-directed learning strategies. In the final phase of the research, teachers will be asked to complete a survey describing the impact of this experience on their own teaching practices. By giving teachers a tangible experience on which to reflect upon their beliefs and perceptions about learning, this phase further explores the role of learning experiences and teacher practices, which are highlighted in Tim's and Alex's study. Additionally, this survey will offer quantifiable data on the effect of the IBL experience on specific components of teachers' practices. This will provide further insight into the engagement and support practices of teachers and their potential to support inquiry-based approaches that were observed in Clive's study. In this presentation, we have outlined and synthesized the major findings, themes, and questions within our various literature reviews and data collection protocols. By analysing our literature, we discovered that IBL had various components that were manifest within teachers' beliefs, perceptions, and practices to varying degrees. We also discovered that teachers' knowledge and experience of teaching and learning with IBL played a significant role in the development of IBL strategies at schools. Therefore, our team has hypothesized that IBL can best improve classroom practices if teachers are taught through, rather than just about, inquiry-based learning. To investigate this, we have devised an action research proposal that would offer teachers and students hands-on experience of teaching and learning through inquiry-based methods, and would offer further insight into the correlation between teachers' knowledge and experience of learning and their practices.